Hello everyone! Welcome to Messy Heart, where we dive deep into troubling accounts and messy relationships, hoping to provide support and advice to those who might seek it. Let's head into our first story. Listen carefully and give us your thoughts on the comments section. Story 1. How can I get my husband to parent my kid again after I stopped his punishment? Let me first say my oldest son is in his last year of high school and is not the bio son of my husband. My husband and I have been married for 14 years now and 2 other beautiful children together. My oldest son's father is not in the picture. My husband is dad in all respect to my son. All the above said is just to clarify our dynamics. I do love him a lot as he cares for me and cares for all the kids the same. I have never seen any favoritism of any kind towards another. 2 weeks ago, while me and my husband was on our way home on the highway, a car came speeding past us. My husband asked me if that was our son because it was the exact same car as we bought him. My husband sped up and caught up to the car. I think we were doing 95 when we caught up. Don't cut me on the speed, please. I really only remember my husband saying, "Why the fuck is he driving 90? I digress. It was our son driving and he was on his phone while speeding through traffic. I think he was texting because we could clearly see him having both hands busy with his phone from the opposite lane. I wanted my husband to honk at him, but he said no, that might just cause issues and catch him off guard and cause an accident. When we got home, we parked behind our son. My husband walked into the living room and just held out his hat and said, "Give me the keys." My son asked why, and my husband raised his voice saying, "Give me the fucking keys." When my son took the keys out of his pocket, my husband grabbed them and told him, "You are no longer allowed to drive that car," and he left the room. He looked at me and asked what is going on, and I told him we saw him on the highway and his eyes got all big and he struggles to say anything. About an hour later, I heard my husband yell from the kitchen, "I don't give a fuck about your job or school, you can walk, take the bike or the bus, I don't care, you will not be driving that car again." Apparently, my son went to him and apologized and asked for the keys back because he needed to get to work. My son came to me a week ago and asked for the keys because he needed to get to work and it was raining. He apologized to me again and said it won't happen again. I relented and gave him the keys and he went off to work. My husband came home and without saying hello just asked where the car was. I told him that I gave the keys back to our son so that he can get to work. He used the same line on me saying, "I told him and you heard me that he isn't allowed to drive anymore and he could have taken the bike, bus or walked." I told him it was raining, so I gave him the keys. I told him that he apologized and said it would never happen again. My husband cut me off and said an apology won't stop an accident or bring him back from the dead or bring other people back from then dead. He hasn't learned a thing. I told him I paid half the car and it was a gift from us to my son and I also have a say at what happens to it. He looked at me and said, "Okay, fine, all parental decision will now fall to you. You are the authority on that, so everything is now on your head." Since then, my husband hasn't done a single thing for my son or any of the other kids regarding discipline. When they ask for something, he's just said, "Go ask you mother." Our kids are having free reign around him and he just steps over every mess they make, and when I asked him why he didn't stop our younger from writing in walls, he just shrugged and walked off. I tried to talk to him and he said, "You got what you asked for. No matter what I do, you seem to be the authority on any decision on our kids, so I just removed the middleman and you can deal with them," and he walked off. What do I do? How can I get him to help parent our kids again? What piece of advice would you give to OP? Let us know down in the comments and let's move on to our next story. Story 2. Caught my 31F BF 32M looking at other women's pictures. Advice? I'll try to keep this short. My 31F BF 32M and I have been together for 5 years. A little backstory relevant to the post: around 6 months of dating he got TikTok. He went to show me a video and it opened to the last one he viewed, which was a sexy woman. We had a civil talk about how I didn't find that respectful. I don't look at other people. He agreed, said he was sorry and deleted TikTok. I didn't ask him to. He did it to show me he was committed to what we have and didn't want to ruin it. Our relationship is great. But for over a year he has stopped intimacy unless I practically beg. There's always an excuse and it happens once every other month after I ask enough. We had several talks about it. He assured me there were no issues with us, no other person, he wasn't getting off when alone, he's still attracted to me, etc. And finally last month we seemed to overcome whatever the issue was, and since we've been intimate a couple times a week. 2 days ago we went to bed like usual. I get in bed by 9 to 10 because I get up at 5 a.m. for work. He is more of a night owl and usually is on his phone for several hours in bed. Because of the phone light, I wear an eye mask to sleep. Well, I put the mask on, but it didn't sit right and I could see through the nose area, right to where his phone was on his lap. Instead of fixing it, I gave in to that little voice in my head and decided to watch the screen for a bit while he thinks I'm asleep. Not even 10 minutes go by before he gets on Instagram and starts looking at provocative photos of women. At first I'm thinking maybe it's just suggested content, I don't have an Instagram. But he's stopping on each girl's photo and swiping through them, zooming in on some, very obviously looking for them. I finally snap and jump up asking WTF is he looking at? First he lies to me, telling me it's just ads as he's scrolling through. I told him I watched him looking through them, so he tries to say he sometimes looks at them but he's not searching for them. Which is another lie because those photos don't appear in his regular feed. He did go searching. He thought I wouldn't know since I don't use it. He swears he only occasionally looks, never likes or messages anyone. I'm so mad. Why did you neglect me for over a year when I was begging you to have sex? I could understand if he was the one sexually deprived and watched porn to get off. But I was always asking and getting rejected. And the disrespect to do it right next to me when he thought I was asleep. When he knows I wouldn't be okay with it. What does he do when I'm at work? He's home most of the time, he works on call and usually only ends up working a handful of days out of the month. And he makes more than double my yearly salary. If he'll look at women right next to me, what does he think he can get away with when I'm not there? I don't know if I can trust him again, especially since he treated me like I'm stupid and tried to lie. I asked him if he would be okay with me looking at guys' photos like that and he said no. I haven't spoken to him in 2 days. He got me flowers and a card yesterday, with a handwritten apology saying he values our relationship and if I can give him another chance he'll prioritize us properly. He'd hate to lose me over something so stupid. Am I overreacting? It's more the disrespect and question of trust than the actual act I'm hung up on. Guys, do you look at people other than your partner? Would it bother you if your partner was the one doing it? Ladies, would you be okay with this? Has anyone gone through anything similar? Share your thoughts with us and let's move on to our next story. Story 3. Why did a guy throw a tantrum when I went no contact if he was not into me? I had been recently going on dates with a guy over the span of a few months. They were really nice and fun and we seemed to have genuinely clicked. I recently asked if he saw us progressing in any way, a serious relationship, and he told me that he was not sexually attracted to me and didn't have romantic feelings for me and had some for someone else, unrequited though. I have a feeling it's his best friend with the way he talks about him, and the way their relationship is extremely codependent, and that he did not want me to get my hopes up. Every day after that, for a few days, he still continued to call me pet names and send me good morning texts every day, but eventually it all just felt like a waste of time and I cut off complete contact with him. I made it very clear when I started talking to him that I didn't join dating apps to make friends, and I don't like to linger or yearn for too long. He found an alt account of mine and told me to kill myself, and blew up my DMS with Wojak memes and some hateful stuff for a span of 7 hours. The reason I didn't block him was BC I wanted to see how long he would go for. Does anyone have a clue as to why he may have reacted this way if he was not into me? Did I do the wrong thing? I felt like I was being led on. Share your thoughts on the story as we dive into our next story. Story 4. How to navigate my wife's new personality after chronic illness. My wife got diagnosed with POTS and chronic fatigue syndrome this summer. She can still go to work and travel, but certain things exhaust her, including work of course. She experiences brain fog too. Since the diagnosis, I notice she doesn't laugh as much and becomes easily frustrated with household tasks or errands. Understandably so. It feels like she saves her energy for her friends as she is her usual bubbly, outgoing self then, but whenever we're at home she's quiet, not really paying attention, and is on her phone a lot. I love her dearly and feel so bad that she isn't her usual self. I understand as her spouse I get to experience her not great days. How do I navigate this as I miss my wife and her old self that shines through once in a blue moon? It's not her fault, but I feel like our life is on hold sometimes and I feel lonely occasionally. I feel selfish, but that's the truth. Any advice is much appreciated. How about that one? Let us have your thoughts and advice down in the comments section. Thank you for watching this video. Feel free to check out our other videos and, as always, like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Never forget that your smile is your best feature. Wear it proudly. See ya!